My name is Gaurav. I head what we call as emerging business for Sharechat and Monch, which essentially means me and my team's ambition is to get the next 5,000 brands of the country on our platform, help them make the best of this platform. I'll start with a quick survey. How many of you have heard about Sharechat and Monch? Like just heard? Just read about it somewhere, somebody told you there's something like this exists. And the next question is tricky, and don't worry, we won't get hurt, we won't feel bad otherwise. How many of you have Sharechat and Monch installed on your phone right now? Come on, at least my team should have. That makes it 4 of us, which is by far the highest count we have come across. Usually half of my team members haven't installed. The first time I installed was when I was talking to the founders of the company and they were telling me about what the company is about. So no shame, right? And it's not a surprise for us, honestly, because all of us sitting in the room, in fact, everyone who's stepped inside this hotel is probably belonging to the top 1% of the country, right? It is probably the top 0.5%, I don't know. But which is also important that a lot of you in this room are actually decision makers, right? A lot of you sitting here decide where the next marketing dollar goes. A lot of you decide whether this hoarding should go up near the Bombay airport or should it go near the Delhi airport. Our wonderful panelists and the speakers throughout the day have been talking about India's internet growth in the rural, in the tier 2, right? A lot of them spoke about how short form video is the next big thing. A lot of them also spoke about how if you have to make an ad in Germany, it has to be in German language, it has to be nuanced to how the Germans like their creatives to be. Now I'll bring all of you closer, flow you across the Mediterranean and bring you to this nice country called India. It is crazy that we 29 states, am I right? 29? 29 states and so many union territories now. We are almost like a European Union coming together, right? I'm from Delhi originally. I moved to Bangalore about last year. Trust me, the North Indian in me is still trying to adjust, right? Because there are so many cultural nuances that I'm still adjusting to. And we as marketeers should be very careful when we think about that. So one thing I promise is I'll not go through the industry reports because we've all heard from everyone and hopefully we all agree that India's internet is growing. We all agree, right? Where's the growth coming from? This sounds like a recap of the day. The growth is coming from rural, tier 2, tier 3, we all agree. Consumers of today are not English-speaking audience. I may be most comfortable talking in English and Hindi, but my next consumer, who by the way may understand English completely, but she is still most comfortable getting entertained in Kannada. And that is where Sharechat and Monch come in, right? We are very proud to say that we are a company built in India. We are headquartered in Bangalore. Today, as we speak, this 8-year-old company has a user base of more than 325 million. So more than 30 crore people come to our platform on a monthly basis to get entertained, to express themselves, to dance to crazy videos, which by the way, in the opinion of all of us, may be cringy, may not be worth our time, may be too tacky because the music is loud or the colors are bright. But that is what the consumer of today loves, and that is what we have to cater to. We are all sitting here only because we think if we know our consumer, we are bloody good at our jobs, right? So 180 million monthly actives on Sharechat, about 160 million on Monch. The time spent is crazy. At such a large user base, think of people spending more than half an hour per day, every day, day on day on this platform. Again, I won't feel bad, but how many of you know the difference between Sharechat and Monch? I've seen a lot of people use it interchangeably. I know we need to do a better job when it comes to our B2B branding, but anyone, I don't have gifts to give away, but maybe someone can. Okay.
I know that Moj is for all things video.
Okay.
And Sharechat is news and trends.
Okay, not bad, not bad. So she said that Moj is for all things video and Sharechat is for news and. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I'll give you partial points. But essentially, Sharechat is a classic feed-based social media. So if you, and I really hope some of you over lunch think that, there was this dude in white shirt, he said something, let me download it. So if you download Sharechat today and you start scrolling through it, it will be a classic feed-based social media. A lot of it will be funny memes, GIFs, jokes, devotion, Bollywood, and those could be consumed in either a short-form content or a Sharechat TV, which is a more long-form content. So that is what Sharechat is about, like you said. It also contains a lot of news, election, what is trending, what's happening in Chennai today. Are the liquor shops closing down? 500 of them today, right? Moj is our answer to TikTok, and I said it. Moj was developed by the company in 36 hours when TikTok was banned. Today we are very proud to say that this is India's by far largest short-form video proposition. So if you download Moj, and I hope you do, you can keep on flicking through our short-form videos and you'll realize how the cutting-edge recommendation engine works. Because that's what we are at the heart of it, right? If you ask us what is Moj, Moj is essentially an AI-led recommendation engine. And I'm not just using AI because it is cool to do that, but because without a recommendation engine, which is what is known as Rexes, you can't really run this company. And that is why you would also notice that once TikTok was banned, there were so many players out there saying, we are a short-form video company, we are a short-form video company, we are now catering to the needs of millions of Indians who are used to TikTok. And now you hear about almost none of them, because to run a short-form video app, to run a short-form video social media, you need a world-class AI Rexes. And that is where we as a company have invested a lot in those resources. In fact, our AI and ML team, not today, but for the longest time now, is not only based out of Bangalore, but also Bay Area and London, because that's where we get world-class resources. Okay, so difference between Sharechat and Moj clear. I hope some of you will download it today. Now this is how our audience split looks like, right? Again, the worst I can do is that when you walk out of this room, you are still confused about what is Sharechat and what is Moj, right? And it is not only about short-form video versus the trending news, but what are the kind of people who are consuming it. So if you look at these numbers, these are pretty different, right? Sharechat is relatively older. It is more tier 2, tier 3 rural. So more than 50% of our users in Sharechat are actually coming from tier 3 cities, right? Now, if you look at the right side of the screen, Moj is 85% Gen Z and millennial. And if you combine tier 1 and tier 2, it is more than 80% of the audience. Now again, I want you folks to remember, and I'll quote the Bangalore example because this is my new home. There are lots of people in Bangalore city who are absolutely comfortable in English, but they love consuming content in Kannada. And that is where Moj comes in place, right? So when you think of Moj, think of short form video, think of young audience, think of very urban audience. When you think of Sharechat, relatively older, people who are interested in feed kind of a format, and then it is primarily tier 3 rural. Now what that means is that if you as an advertiser are looking to have a reach pan-India, you combine these two platforms. And that's where we are very proud to work with tons of advertisers today and are able to show them success across the entire demographic funnel of India. So next time somebody tells you that Sharechat is only Bharat or Moj is only urban, you should be reminded of this chart here, this one. And this should remind you that with Sharechat and Moj, you could actually reach out to your urban elite audience and not so urban, not so elite audience sitting in a small city in India. Okay, like I said, won't spend a lot of time. Things like these aren't built without AI, ML-led approach, and that's what we've been continuously investing in. This, by the way, investment also goes into our ad targeting. The similar recommendation engine that recommends you the next best video also decides which ad to show when. And that is why we are very confident that our machine learning capabilities will help your ad put in the right context to give you the maximum ROAS or ROI or however you measure it. Okay, again quickly, these are some numbers we already know. English audience actually is very limited, right? Depending on which reports you read, somewhere between 150 and 200 million. And the internet is way beyond that. It is no longer, I'm reminded of my first jobs in an internet company in which our narrative used to be that India's internet is very, very male, very urban, very metro. But I think things have drastically changed now, right? And that is where we truly believe that the mnemonic of today, for all the marketers here, I think has to be crisp, creative, and contextual. A lot of times we get asked these questions, right? That short form video is great, we all know that, but who helps us create it? And that is where we at Sharechat and Monch actually have invested in teams who help you build this, which is what we call as studio ads. So we have a team who works with you right from the creative ideation to actually building out those ads which have a high production quality. We take up the entire cost for it. In fact, the entire 0 to 100 journey is undertaken by the team. So there is no independent agency that you have to contact. There is no influencer marketing agency. We have a team, and I'll talk about it more. We have a team who actually has tie-ups with hundreds of thousands of influencers across all parts of the country. We start with creative ideation, work with those influencers, we seed that message, and then we finally ensure that your hashtag challenges or your influencer activations reach 500 million views in a month's time, etc. etc. Let me show you some of these.
அது என்ன நீ பொங்கல் கொண்டாடுற நான் மட்டும் இங்க ரங்கோலி டிசைன் பண்ண வர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன்
பேபி இது ரியல் செலிப்ரேஷன் chill and enjoy
என்னச்சு ரொம்ப சூடா இருக்கு நீ எனக்கு தாகமா இருக்கேன்னு கூட கேட்க மாட்ட
அவ்வளவுதானே குடிக்க என்ன வேணும்
டேஸ்டா ரெஃப்ரெஷிங்கா குடிச்சதும் ஆன ஃபீல் பண்ற மாதிரி ஏதாவது வேணும்
உனக்கு தேவை ஸ்லைஸ் ஹாப்பி பொங்கல்
இனிங்க பொங்கல் நல்வாழ்த்துக்கள்
Okay, I'll skip some of these. One of the things that I definitely wanted to talk about, I'll take 2 minutes on this, is does anyone know how to advertise on WhatsApp? Anyone utilize? Never, ever heard of it? So, essentially I tell you with, what's sort of one of the genesis of the name Sharechat, right? What the founders realized back in 2015 is that a lot of people are interested in consuming vernacular content. And they had made these small WhatsApp groups to do this, right? Let's say there's a small Tamil community who wanted to talk about Sachin's greatest innings, etc. And they would have a small WhatsApp group and sort of discuss that. That actually led to the ideation that if there is a social media which has content creators who create things in vernacular, there will be people that come to it. Now that led to formation of Sharechat, but importantly what that means is that today, every day, when you wake up, I'm sure a lot of you are part of those family groups in which you get these good morning messages or those WhatsApp statuses about, with a lotus photo saying how India is the greatest country in the world. A lot of these are actually derived from Sharechat. So the core behavior of users coming on Sharechat is to do a one-click share to their favorite WhatsApp groups, right? This is what the core behavior of users coming to Sharechat is. Now what we have done for the very first time, this is by the way still in beta, is that we are now allowing companies and marketeers to monetize those shares, right? I'll show you an example of this. So let's say a user on Sharechat saw this picture which he or she finds good, right? And the typical behavior, like I said, millions of people, by the way, do it every day. The number would be like 20, 30 million every day. And they would do it twice or thrice a day. So we are talking about 50 million shares from Sharechat to WhatsApp. And then the virality within WhatsApp is another multiplier, right? What brands could today do is that you could append your 6-second video or a static GIF on every such WhatsApp message that goes from Sharechat to WhatsApp. Now imagine the scale of it, right? Imagine a cycle agarbatti having the ability to have its agarbatti GIF on 50 million WhatsApp messages that go from Sharechat to WhatsApp in one day. And if you do that for a month, you're talking about taking over the entire country. So this is possibly, not even possibly, we are pretty sure this is the only way you could monetize or you could send your ads on WhatsApp. You can talk about more details, we'll be off stage and we should talk about it. And this is what it will look like. The first image is of a static GIF. The second one is asking me to request access. Okay, no worries.
Come on, love my ex and my video for promiscuous. My style is ridiculous. See us in the club, we like to feel.
This is the curve in life. A new vision brought to life.
Okay, I'll wrap up on this. So this was essentially a Realme ad appended post an organic share that a user did. If you have any questions about it, you want to know about Sharechat and Moj, me and my team will be here. And it was a short interaction, but nonetheless good one. I hope a lot of you will download our app today. Thank you.